Today we're going to talk about different kinds of insects, but we are really going to learn a lot about bees. I say good morning to the day, good morning to my school, good morning to my friends, 'cause you're really, really cool. Good morning to Miss Andrea and all our families too. Good morning to you. So do you like insects? They're very, very interesting creatures, aren't they? The cover of our story has a bee in a beehive. We'll be learning more about bees today. This story is called What Do Insects Do? Let's find out. In this book, there are real pictures of insects. Okay, so here is a real bee in a real beehive. What do insects do? All right, let's find out. Let's see what our first page shows us. They jump. This is a grasshopper. They fly. This is a fly up close. Let's see what else they do. They eat. This is called a bird grasshopper. They drink. Here's our ladybug. So beautiful and symmetrical. Let's see what other insects we have in here. They cut. This is called a leaf cutter ant. They carry. This is also the leaf cutter ant. They're very strong. Let's see what else. They fight. Okay, these are stag beetles. What a picture, huh? They bite. Okay, this is a mosquito. They build. This is a bull ant. And they hide. This is a leaf grasshopper. It's hard to see it. When an insect or animal matches the environment that they live in, that's called camouflage. This leaf grasshopper is camouflaged. It's hard to see him. Insects, look at you. Oh my goodness, look at those eyes. This is called a katydid. So interesting. And that's what insects do. Today, we're going to talk about the bee. Well, we all know that bees are wonderful for our gardens, right? Bees help more and more flowers to grow, and bees give us a delicious treat to eat. It's called honey. So I'd like to explain all of that to you today. So let's start with the flower. Inside a flower, we know there is nectar because we talked about how the butterflies like to sip the nectar out of the flower. But did you know that bees like to do the same thing? Bees like to sip the nectar out of flowers too. Do you remember when I showed you the nectar when we talked about butterflies? Well, bees do the same thing, okay? Bees sip the nectar out of the flower and it goes into their honey tummy. Did you know that bees have 2 tummies? Do you have 2 tummies? No, we just have 1 tummy. But bees have a regular tummy for their food and a honey tummy for the nectar. The nectar is stored in their honey tummy until they get back to the beehive. When they get back to the beehive, the nectar is shared from one bee to another bee. It's passed along. So one bee takes the nectar from another bee, and then another bee takes the nectar from that bee, and they just pass it along until it gets harder and harder and stickier, like honey. Once the honey is made, they store it inside the beehive. You see it in there? It's hard to see. It's in there. I like to use old ice cube trays to represent the honeycomb. And you can use these little eyedroppers to represent the bee sucking up the nectar from the flower. You each have a small one of these in your bag. And if you'd like to make some colored water, you can practice sucking up the water and putting it into an old ice cube tray or just transferring it into some cups. It's fun, and you can pretend like you're a bee. Okay, so that's what they do with the nectar. But there's also something else in this flower, and it's called pollen. Can you say pollen? Pollen is a yellow powdery substance that's inside a flower, and it looks something like this. Let me get some more so you can see it. Pollen. Now, pollen is sticky, so when the bee comes and lands on the flower, right, to suck the nectar out of the flower, the pollen sticks to the bee's little legs as when he lands in the flower. You see the pollen on my legs? All right, and that's okay because the pollen is good food for little babies, little baby bees, and it is also important because it helps new flowers to grow. So if the bee has pollen on his little feet and he flies to another flower and lands on it, that pollen is going to help new flowers to grow. So bees are very important for flower gardens because when they move pollen from flower to flower, it helps new flowers to grow. And they're also so important because they give us honey. Do you like honey? I love honey. What do you put your honey on? Like you can eat it plain or put it on some toast, put it on your cereal, make a sandwich with it. I like peanut butter and honey sandwiches. Have you ever had one of those? They're delicious. All right. So now that we know a little bit more about bees, I want to do a cute little poem with you using our fingers. Okay, so these are going to be our 5 little bees. Can you put your hands up for 5 little bees? 5 little busy bees on a day so sunny. Number 1 said, I'd like to make some honey. Number 2 said, tell me where it shall be. Number 3 said, in an old honey tree. Number 4 said, let's gather pollen sweet. Number 5 said, let's take it on our feet. And that's what we learned today. All right, little bumblebees, fly away. Go do your work. We call them busy bees because they are busy, aren't they? Now that you know more about them, you know how busy they are, making our flower gardens beautiful and making honey for us. And they also have to take care of their babies too. They have lots of work to do every day. Now, bees also have stingers, and a lot of people are afraid of bees because bees sting. But that's how they protect themselves. They're only going to sting if they get scared, right? If something's going to hurt them, then they'll sting to protect themselves. But it's best to just leave bees alone and let them do the wonderful things that they do for our world. Okay? All right. So for homework tonight, you're going to make a really cute bee out of yellow and black paper. And it even has some really fun wings that you can put on it. And you're going to be doing a cute little bee worksheet. Anytime you do worksheets, it's preparing you, right, to get bigger and bigger. Yeah, kindergartners do worksheets. So it's just getting you ready. And then you have those little eyedroppers inside of your bag. So why don't you try to move some honey or some pretend nectar. You can pretend. See if you can move it into little cups or bowls, because that's really good for your small motor skills. You have a bee letter match that you're going to be doing on Seesaw, and you're going to be moving bees to the hive on Seesaw. I really like what I'm seeing on Seesaw. You're working so hard on all of those activities and getting smarter and smarter. Okay, now for exercise, make sure mommy or daddy is listening, because this is a really fun exercise that you can do. If you want to pretend like you're a bee today, you can put on the flight of the bumblebee. Mommy or daddy can look that up on Google. The Flight of the Bumblebee. It's a very fast moving song that'll get your wings going and get you buzzing and allow you to fly around the room and pretend like you're drinking the nectar and getting the pollen on your feet. And you can move around the room and take the pollen to other flowers and take the nectar to the hive. There'll be lots of bees waiting for you in the hive to help you make that honey as they move that nectar down the line from one bee to another till it gets thick and sticky, and then it can be put in the honeycomb. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed our lesson today, and I know you have a lot of homework to do, but I also know that you're very smart and you are very busy, hard workers, just like bees. So I know you'll get it done. All right, busy bees, until we meet again. 1, 2, 3, pals, hooray! I'll see you next time.